Hi, everyone. I'm Raymond Sharp, and this is my lovely wife,
Tanesha Sharp.
and we're here to jump in. Jump in is one of our favorite things that we love to do. It's something that we hold near and dear to our heart.
Yeah.
We want to see people do well. We want to see them succeed in life. And today, we're going to talk about jumping into those things that we choose to ignore. Again, we're going to jump into things that we choose to ignore. This is for your relationships. This is with your jobs, with your education, even things that you have, to work on within yourself. We want to help you overcome some of those excuses so you can see the benefit of working on those areas that are very, very challenging. And one thing I've learned over time is that some of those areas that were the most challenging for me, the things I didn't want to really work on, those were the areas of some of the greatest breakthroughs in my life, the greatest successes in my life were tied to those areas, overcoming those challenges so I can be really successful the way that I want to be successful in that particular area of my life.
Yeah, I just think, you just at some point it's like maturing. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're a kid, you avoid doing chores and stuff like that. As an adult, you got to do what you got to do, and there's a lot of stuff that you may not feel like doing or want to do, but you can't avoid everything. You can't avoid even conversations.
Yes.
Even with relationships, you can't just avoid everything. And at some point, you got to mature. And I know this may seem elementary, but there are some adults that they still avoid stuff, and it's difficult in a relationship.
Yeah. There's some people that actually get divorces because they much rather get a divorce than have a difficult conversation. They much rather get a divorce than be honest in a relationship. They much rather get a divorce than, work on themselves. They say there's something wrong with the other person, but really you have some things within yourself that you refuse to work on. And because of that, you want to break up a home or you want to make excuses. There's some people who, and I want to be honest. I found myself not in like
absolutely,
me
too.
Yeah, not in like the whole thing. I'm gonna divorce you because I want to have this conversation with you. It's not that, but there's been some things I'm like, man, I really
avoid. You just don't feel like dealing with.
Yeah, don't want to deal with that. Don't want to go through that.
Don't want to have that conversation. Like, do we got to have it right now?
Yeah, and sometimes we understand what comes with this conversation.
Yes,
we understand the level of accountability that comes with this conversation.
Yes, what can come out of it?
Yeah, and there's people who like if you talk to people about if you think about it, I think the statistic is between 85 and 90% of people in the United States of America live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And we have a society where we like to spend money. Just using this as an example, we like to spend money. So since we like to spend money, most of the people we know, it looks like they're doing well, but they all are like one bad event away from potentially losing it all. And because of that, there needs to be more focus on budgeting. But who likes to sit down and say, I'm not going to be able to enjoy that this month because I want to work on myself. We don't want to know sometimes.
The whole delayed gratification. Who wants that?
Nobody wants to delay gratification. But, that's sometimes if you want to get ahead, that's what you have to do. There's some people who avoid going back to school because they don't want to go through the process of learning. They don't want to sit through class. They don't want to have to do homework and write papers and things of that nature. So there's a lot that we all have to work on. There's a lot that we all have to get through. But I want to encourage you just to jump into it. Sometimes we try to plan everything out, but we've been planning for the last 10 years. Some of us the last 20 years to do certain things. Just do it. And the greatest impact I'm seeing with us avoiding certain things, where sometimes some parents, I'm talking about parents now, they look at things with their kids and they just say, oh, I don't want to know. And then you avoiding that, it's going to have a profound effect on your children if you don't jump into this to steer them. And then some of us may look up, in some years and have our grandkids and like, why are my grandkids act like that? It's because of the things you let go unchecked in the lives of your children.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. What about, you say letting things go unnoticed. So like, even this is changing up just a little bit, but what if like when you date and there's like red flags, there's stuff that you just kind of overlook. And you don't address, you don't really want to talk about it. You avoid bringing up certain things because you just like, well, and you know how we always say, if you have to say, but, he does this, he's, or he or she, and they, you ever heard somebody describe somebody and then they said, but he, or but she, and it's kind of like, that's something that bothers you, but you're just tolerating it.
I'm going to say this to the fine folk who are watching this video. And this is something that I'm thankful that we live by. and I'm thankful that I think we just celebrated 16 years of marriage.
Woo!
And I think one of the reasons why we've had the success in the marriage that we've had, we were honest with each other.
Yeah, good, bad, ugly,
yeah,
ugly stuff.
Yeah, and I think
got
that
through it.
if you are unwilling to have difficult conversations with the person that you're dating, you shouldn't marry them.
Yeah, because it don't get no easier.
Marriage is full of difficult
You're still
conversations.
Gonna have to have difficult conversations.
Yes. Marriage is...
It's not. It's sometimes ugly.
Yeah, marriage is full of difficult conversations.
Sometimes it's tears.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's just you miss each other. As far as like he's saying one thing, but he really, like understanding what the other person really means and the heart behind what they're saying, and just it's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like if you cannot get to a point where you can be honest and say, look, this is where I'm at. And maybe this is why sometimes marriages end so prematurely or so soon, because it's like, yeah, we had this issue before we got married. It's still an issue. We're still not able to work through it. Let's just let it go.
And I'm a big proponent of marital counseling, and I'm gonna be completely honest and tell you why.
It's an investment.
So, as you all know,
to get with a professional, yeah.
Tanesha, this is my second marriage.
Yeah.
And I remember my first marriage, we did go through marital counseling, and there were some issues that popped up in the counseling, and the person who did the counseling, he was like, oh, when it was clear that there were some issues, but he was like, oh, these are all things you can work out once you get married. And looking back now, those issues were some of the same issues we had that led to our divorce. So, to me, two things I'm gonna tell you. One, definitely get marital counseling. Get marital counseling from someone who doesn't have a vested interest in you all being together. Get someone who's completely isolated and independent, who's gonna look at things fairly and say, hey, y'all need to work on this before y'all even take another step. Get someone who's gonna check you. Don't get someone that just wanna see y'all get married because he love y'all and think y'all should be together. Get someone who's gonna break you down, say, nope, you're wrong with this, you're wrong with that, work on this, work on that. Come see me about 2 months and then we'll revisit this whole marriage thing.
And hold them accountable.
Exactly.
Really,
and I think sometimes we're always gonna have things to work on, but there's certain core things that should not be an issue. Yeah. Like, it shouldn't be an issue of, well, I love him, but he's cheating on me now, and well, we're not married yet, and I'm still gonna do my thing till we get married. No, that's not cool, because that's something difficult for some people to stop, because it's like an inherited trait. It's something that just they haven't
it's in you
exercise control in that area of their life,
or just discipline or just restraint.
Exactly.
If you've never had an opportunity to do that, it's challenging to and not only that, it makes you feel like it makes you feel like you can trust the other person more when you know that even before y'all got married, y'all didn't do anything. It just feels like if he can guard himself with me, then I know he knows how to guard himself with other women, and same with me as well.
Now, I'm gonna tell you this, and this goes in a lot of different areas. Some people are very the way to communicate is very, I don't want to say aggressive, but it can be very disrespectful. And I think some people don't know how to communicate with people. Because the way that they were communicated to and communicated with growing up, they feel like even good, bad, or indifferent, well, there's nothing wrong with this. What's wrong with what I'm saying? And they don't grasp the concept of communicating what their heart is versus difference between how it's coming out.
In the presentation, and sometimes it's like the attitude behind it. Like if you got attitude and you're talking with attitude, it's the delivery is totally different. It's like it's coming off with an attitude, and you may not even mean to have you don't want it to come off. Let me say that as you have an attitude, but because it's in you and it's there, with anything you say is going to come off, just like with just a form of an attitude, or it just will come out wrong. And it can be offensive.
It can. And all this is saying this. Yeah. Sometimes we don't want to change who we think we are. We don't want to change our personality. We don't want to change our delivery. These are things that we don't want to jump into. And one thing I've learned, if someone says, well, this is just how I am, believe them.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, break up with them. Okay? Especially if you're dating. You don't have to I don't have to deal with that. And I think sometimes we treat dating as marriage, and we need to jump into this even more. Probably another video.
And I know it's not popular,
but it don't have to be popular. It's right. But if we got to stop treating dating like it's marriage. Like if I don't like something, I don't have to talk to you. I don't have to date you. I don't have to spend my time with you. I don't have to be invested in you. If I don't like it, okay, that's it. Nice to know you. I have to move on.
Because don't waste your time.
Don't waste your time. And I think a lot of people have gotten comfortable with wasting their time. So if you're comfortable and you are unhappy in your situation, and that's not just with dating, but if you're uncomfortable with your job, if you're not happy with your job, not happy with how things are with your children, your family, your education, even if you're in business, and then for those who are in business, I'm gonna tell you this. We've ran and operated several businesses before, and some of them were very successful. Some of them were not, to be completely honest with you. But one thing I did learn is like I had to learn how to cut bait. There's a business that was like my baby that I realized I cannot do this business any good anymore. I need to pass it on. I gave it to my wife. She ran in with it. And it's doing good. Good job, babe. But I had to understand that's where I was. And then so sometimes we had to jump into the truth that we might not be the best thing for this thing anymore. No matter what it is. You have to face the truth and be honest with yourself about it and move forward. Move forward with grace, move forward with love, move forward understanding, and move forward knowing that, better things are to come. If you're letting something go, that means something better is coming. That's what I believe. That's what happened with us. And I've seen it happen with a number of different things. Sometimes, I had to let go of certain mindsets, and that was hard, but I'm glad I did because it's been a tremendous blessing to me in my life.
I just got a question, but I think this is going to be in part 2. Everything is boiled down to just being honest. It's like, why is it so hard to be honest?
Because the lie feels better. Not knowing feels better. Not having to deal with it feels better. So much feels better. It's like, the being blunt. Sometimes, some people like not knowing. Not knowing means I don't have to deal with it. And some of us can know. Some people can know a little bit, but I don't want to know everything. Don't tell me everything, because if I know everything, that means I have to make a decision and change. And I don't want to change. Now, this is not going to part 2.
And honestly, I know I've been there before. But now looking back, it's like, wow.
It's dangerous.
Yeah. But I know that was me before.
And this is the crazy thing. Sometimes when you don't jump into changing, you tend to blame everybody else for your issue. But really, it's your fault because you don't want to change. You don't want to know. You willfully don't want to know. It's like taking medicine. And I don't want to take medicine. I don't like medicine.
Being sick and not wanting to take the medicine.
Matter of fact, I don't even like going to the doctor. Let's start there. Not even getting, but it's like, I need to go. It's like, I don't want to go because if I go, I know I need to sit down and rest. I know I need to take time off of work. I don't want to take, I look at all the cascading effects, but it's like, okay, you're going to choose to feel horrible versus taking a few days to feel better. And typically I tell myself, okay, I'm going to give myself a few days. But then I usually go a few days before I even tell her I'm not feeling bad. So she knows that my thing is like 3 days. And so I had to stop and say, you know what? I'm lying to her because I'm not telling her the real timeline. So let me take a step back.
All over you.
Yeah. And she's like, are you okay? I'm fine. I'm good. I got this to do, that to do. And I was like, you know what? Hey, the day it happens now, I'm like, hey, babe, I don't feel good. So.
That's real.
All of that is for everybody.
It's for everybody.
And it's going to be applied to so many different areas.
And you can be honest in one area and then not the other either.
Absolutely.
Not like.
We got to tell the whole truth.
Half truth is still a lie.
Still a lie. Yep. Another thing too, and I just want to put this out there. You have to be careful. I don't encourage people, don't manipulate the people in your life with untruths, half truths. And I say that because we choose at times people's options in regard to the decisions they make. If I tell you what I want you to know and tell you, well, I need to make a decision based on this information I gave you, and I didn't give you all the information, you're going to pick the decision I want you to make. Because I shaped it for you. It's kind of like right now with education and how certain tests are written. It's like it teaches you how to think a certain way. These kids are taught now how to think more than they're taught like the information to retain it. So it's like it's creating a way. If you talk to most of the youth think a certain way because of the way that they're being taught in school. So we're crafting that.
They're analyzing
Yeah.
and breaking. Yeah.
So with that, we have to make sure that we're taking manipulation out of our relationships and let people choose to be in a relationship with us instead of us choosing them and making them choose us by the information that we provide them. Does that make sense?
And it's not fair. Yes, it's not. It's not fair. It's
Yeah.
like it's kind of like you're taking that. You're taking that from me.
Yeah.
My ability to make the decision whether I want to deal with this situation or who you really are. Like that's really whoo. And the sad thing about it is that eventually it's going to come out.
It always comes out.
It's going to come out in that marriage. It's going to come out, and all it leaves is just disappointment. And ultimately, you have wasted both of you guys' time.
I'm gonna take it a step further. I want to challenge. Now you have to do this with, I would say, understanding and do it with care and do it with good timing. But I think that parents need to be honest with their children before their children get to an age of knowing how to use technology and start looking things up.
Googling you. Kids. I mean, teachers is having the kids. Remember, the teacher had our kids Google us.
Yeah.
Google your parents. See what comes up. Like,
man, I'm thankful.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't.
I'm glad we do right.
Yeah,
and
they're like,
right.
oh, it was just stuff that we already knew about y'all. So.
Yeah, like, cool, great. But
however,
whew. Yeah, let your kids know what's going on. Don't.
It's a whole different time now.
Yeah.
Like they want the truth.
Yeah, and the children will respect you for it. There's some things that
I mean, they can't know everything because they're still children.
I think within at the appropriate
ages,
time.
Yeah, certain ages you should start. Okay, now you need to know this. Now, because we're starting to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're starting to let them know a little bit more about, how we grew up and certain things about us that they don't know. And so, but because they're a little bit more mature now, and you'll know the maturity level. I mean, you'll know if your children are able to handle it and understand. But then also that helps with parenting because it gives them a greater appreciation and it gives them like how you say context.
Yes.
On when you're trying to explain certain things to them, they really get it. Because like I remember being younger, and sometimes they'll just say, "Well, just don't do this" or whatever. And sometimes you don't know, even though we don't need to know why. But sometimes with this generation, they kind of need to know. I mean, they want to know why because they're like you said, at school, they're analyzing everything and they're thinking things through and they think a whole lot and they're trying to figure out in their heads. And you can just save them time. Like, look, this is, and then begin to really, really just give them some examples and really, really explain to them what exactly, why this is not a good decision because if not, they're going to sit there and be thinking about it.
Yeah, and one thing we do is tell our children, okay, this is why we do this. This is why we do that. This is why this is a thing for us. So they'll understand. Like, okay, they'll understand the value of what we do and what we put value on.
We couldn't do that growing up, but it's a different time.
Yeah.
It really is a different time, and we got to shift. And we can't say, well, just because we weren't allowed to do that when growing up, we can't hold them to that,
right?
Because it's a whole new different time, and that's what we're learning. Like some things that I couldn't get away with at that age, questioning and asking, but see, they're being taught to know.
But see, the thing though, our children ask us with respect.
Yeah, they're not asking to be sassy or anything like that.
Yeah, our kids are like, hey, can we talk? We taught our kids. Hey,
they just want to understand.
They want to understand. We taught our kids how to approach us about certain things.
Yeah. It is all about the approach.
Yeah.
And but they just they're curious and their minds are going and more than anything, I want to be able to kind of guide my children and give them the truth and instead of having somebody else tell them or have them go into someone that will be a bad influence in their lives and just kind of take them off into a whole different path. But yeah.
Well, look, thank you for joining us for this edition of Jump In. We hope that you got something out of it.
Yes.
Again, we love this platform. We love these topics. And if you have anything that you want us to discuss or any question you have about what we shared, please hit us up. Let us know. We would love to answer your questions. Once again, I'm Raymond Sharp. This is my wife,
Tanesha Sharp.
And we're here to jump in.
Have a wonderful evening.
Y'all take care.
Bye.